Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how does he know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast. My name is Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Danny Guru.
Jennifer, it's nice to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good today. How are you?
Me too. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. It's been a good day. Happy Sunday. It is June 25th. We're going to already be in July here shortly. Can't believe it. Half of the year is already gone. So
hard to believe. It really is. It really is, especially along our trail of getting papered up. You know what I mean? We got to make it simpler for everyone.
Yes. Today we're on episode number 55. We're going to be touching on the nodes. Dan's got some stuff to add on that. And then we have a special announcement that we're going to be making within this episode. So if you haven't already, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. And go check us out if you haven't had a human design session. I highly recommend getting one.
Come on in, get your analysis done. You know,
Yep.
The links are below. Visit the website, whatever. Book your session.
Yep, you guys know what to do. It's the same drill pretty much for everybody. You can find the links in the description, scrolling in the banner down below, and all that good stuff. So
Cool. Let's make our announcement first, Jen.
okay.
Yeah.
Me and Dan have been talking about some things behind the scenes, and over the summer, we are going to be taking some time off, summer break. During the summer break, I'm going to be making a post. I'm going to be interviewing for a virtual assistant. So to help with posting, graphic content, I'll make sure that I put a whole job description. It'll be part-time. And we're going to be looking for someone to come in and help out. But I'm going through a massive transition in my life, and Dan is, and I know that, just personal people that I know and watching the collective, I think everybody is going through something. So, I've just been doing some analyzing and been talking to Dan. We're going to take some time off for summer. Doesn't mean that we may not pop on for a show or whatever's going to be going on. We don't have a specific schedule or anything like that, but just to regroup on some things.
No specific schedule. We just want time off. So basically, nearing Sunday, I might text Jen or Jen might text me, and the question will be, do you wanna? And chances are both of us will be like, well, maybe next week.
Well, Dan, you can go live without me.
Really? That's a rule? That's a thing?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to exist without you, Jen.
You can.
Okay. Good. Nice to know. I've been educated.
Informed.
Informed. Yeah, I've been informed. Similar things now that I think of it.
Well, I mean, you even if you don't, even if it's not live and you want to do a recording, we can always upload it.
Yeah, I should get used to going solo or whatever, or shifting it up and stuff. And
Well,
absolutely.
doing the smaller videos, but these are the discussions that we're
Yeah.
having, guys, that we're going to be talking about over the summer. And yeah, if you I'm going to be making a job description to give you guys some more information of, what all goes on behind the scenes, what we need help with, what Dan needs help with, what is all included and all that good stuff. So if you must be tech savvy. If
Yeah.
you're tech savvy and you like human design and you want to get more involved, definitely send me a
Yeah, and in
message.
fact, also hopefully be the type that lets me read for them. I need to. It'd be best if I can read for you, and also know, get you started on your experiment. So that would be ideal. Um, and then moving on, Jen, do we want to talk about our American state national yearnings, state citizen stuff? Is that something we were going to do at all? Because that's part of the reason we're taking time off. Me, anyways.
Yeah, why don't we touch on that?
Yeah, just
Like you're I can't say a couple of steps ahead of me, more steps ahead of me. I don't know how many I'm coming up, but
so
go ahead.
everyone who knows about what it is to be a state citizen versus a U.S. citizen, or American state national, they also one of the sections of code calls it a U.S. national. Basically, it's a state citizen versus a U.S. citizen. Anyone who's familiar with the difference between these two things knows that there's a long study curve to figure out what we're doing, because it's so different and it's so new, yet it's not new at all, obviously. It's been around the whole time. And what we're talking about is compartmentalizing our U.S. citizenship into a little box off to the side where we, the living being, can no longer be called that. Keep our straw man, the all caps name mostly, but and in favor of being just our original organic American, where suddenly our rights go through the window, go through the roof. What is it that we are? We're no longer encumbered by so many things. Lots of debts disappear slowly. All of the things that are the code and the rules that they constantly put on us, the U.S. code, the statutes, all these criminal violations, when there's no victim, none of these things stop applying to us. In the process, you get this really cool passport. It's a passport issued by the Secretary of State. It's called a regular passport. It's got 4 or 5 stars on it, and it's got big, bold red printing telling the police officer, do not detain. Foreign diplomat, limited diplomatic immunity, right to carry all 50 states, unencumbered, a few other things. And, that's basically drive down the road, choose not to just get a DOT number or even not any. Fabricate, make your own license plate and put your notices in the window and stop registering and paying excise tax on your car. It's just 1,000 things. There's 1,000 benefits to it, just so many. And of course, it's been hidden from us all this time. So this is part of the reason I'm taking time off, is to really dig in the rest of this process to finish it, basically. And what we call it getting papered up. Get papered up and put on your Teflon suit, your armored flak jacket, that can take flak. And walk into a courtroom and you're never in their jurisdiction. You don't even have to say a word other than I'm not in your jurisdiction. And suddenly they can't give you a ticket. They can't, whatever. So if that sounds amazing, this is why we're taking time off. It is amazing.
It's a lot more than that, guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm giving you the end. I'm giving you the end.
I can't go along with that because nobody fully knows what the end is, because I don't think there's been one person who has completely gotten to the end 100% yet. So, but the reason that I'm getting involved in it is because, we speak a lot about, especially with human design, waking people up to their true nature. That way that they can start really reclaiming their sovereignty, just understanding who they are uniquely are at the core. And that also plays a part with the environment that we are living in. And the environment that we live in is corrupt. The matrix, you hear us say it a lot. And when you find out, that there's dual worlds going on and we're not supposed to be living the way that they currently tell us to live, and there is another way, we just have to do it. And it takes a lot of people stepping into that role and doing it all together, but it is all a learning lesson. So
It sure is. It sure
Mhm.
is. It's just a big, long learning lesson. Absolutely. So yeah. So that's a great big deal. That aspect of it. What else with that? I guess that's a thing. So stay tuned. Oh yeah. I got the information for Brandon Joe Williams, so I was going to invite him onto our podcast.
Yes, I would love to see his human design.
Yep.
And I'd love to have him on. That would be really awesome. If you guys don't know, we'll repost it in the links, but you can go to website onestupidfuck.com and sign up for Brandon's Contract Killer course. That's a great course to get into. It is a lot of information. It's free. It doesn't charge you anything. And when you do start getting into state national stuff or learning about the dual governments we actually have running here in the United States, don't get overwhelmed. Here's the thing that I have seen a lot of people do it. There is no overnight quick fix. You're going to do this and everything's going to be hunky dory on the other end. Just like the benefits Dan said, I mean, it's going to take some time to get there for one, but that's also up to you. And the most important thing that you can through this whole process is get educated. Understand that they are speaking a completely different language. And yeah, they are two different terms, legal and legalese.
Legal and lawful, legalese and lawfulness.
Yes, that's right. Legalese and lawful. And once you really start to understand the language, you'll start to see how you yourself are getting yourself involved in all of this. So
Go ahead, finish.
What really drives me to do it is that if I'm going to sit here and say that I am, I want to help people break out of the matrix, and I'm about, creating a new earth and all this other stuff, then I need to take personal responsibility for the parts that I am playing in. We can't blame the system for being where we're at right now. It's all of us that help create ourselves to get to this point. And the only way to make a change is when the individual does it. So
yeah, I take a slightly different view, and I absolutely do blame the system for allowing this fraud to continue. Just taking one thing into account. Take this into account because this is literal truth. That which is legal is not lawful. Try to take that in and try and make sense of what I just said, and it'll start to really highlight what the deal is. So everyone knows there's a million codes and statutes. In fact, it's almost impossible to live a life without being some kind of a statute lawbreaker. Wouldn't you say? I mean, it'd be near impossible to find a statute somewhere that would apply that you just broke. And suddenly that becomes, a misdemeanor, potentially criminal, all these things. Generally, no one does anything about it, obviously, but they're all there waiting to, like a viper, come out and bite you. And so that's why everyone's afraid of the government. They know that they don't know what things they've done that they're in trouble for. They're like, oh my God, I don't want them looking at me, because everyone knows that whole idea that you got lots of skeletons in your closet. That's written into all of the U.S. code and the UCC and these things that govern us on the legal side. Laws made by Congress, and 99.7 or 8% of all the laws written out of Congress, these legal aspects of Congress, 99 point whatever % of them are not lawful to the de jure natural organic American, the original American, state national, state citizen, however you want to call it. Don't call it sovereign citizen, by the way. Two different, those are oxymoron terms, but just sovereignty. Yep. So yeah, so that's big. And so I got some information on Brandon, and I'll send him a note, and then he's got a publicist. I'll send her a note as well.
Okay, good.
Yep. I was recently on a podcast, Hey Human podcast, with Susan. Oh God, I'm forgetting her last name. And she's great. And she's the one who had Brandon on. And so we talked a little bit about that. And she sent me the information to get a hold of him. So that was good.
Awesome.
Yep.
He'd be a really good one to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, guys, go check him out. He's got a lot of very, very informational stuff. Will blow your mind.
Well, we would be taught. I would ask Brandon to allow us to get into some advanced theory stuff. How to sign your name, what it is to be the agent for things, what it is to be the beneficiary for things, just a few things that are sort of advanced. We wouldn't be the introductory learning program. He's already done 100 podcasts you can listen to that go through the same set of steps. It's amazing. I would want to talk about certain advanced stuff, me personally anyways.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not there yet.
Well, you would find it super duper helpful as you get there.
Yes.
He doesn't have one of those yet, at least not the questions I would be asking, and sort of just like we'd be talking through them. But Brandon won't have all the answers. Nobody does. We would talk through it and see what makes sense of things, and it would be kind of cool. That's my thought, but nothing's set in stone, obviously. But
I think we should either do a state national one and then do the HD separate.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't even want to do as human design other than a few courtesy things, unless he wanted to. You know.
Oh, okay. That's why I thought you said. Okay.
Oh no, advanced knowledge of state national. How, like, dude, we get confused over things like how to sign your name.
Yeah, I know. Never mind.
Yeah, silly things.
I'm in human design mode. So
it's confusing. It's confusing.
You're talking about the state national stuff. When you said you had his information, I thought you meant having him on the show to do his chart, not
his information to contact him and his publicist to get him on the spot. He's starting.
I misunderstood.
Yeah, he's starting to get busy. But yeah, we could segue into some human design stuff if you want. Can we do that? You got more to say by chance, Jen?
No.
Coolio. What I wanted to talk about is, we've discussed this before, the movement of the nodes. Remember, I would find down to the minute when the nodes would change, and I was asking everyone to recognize how they're changing. And today, I would like to give that a much broader view. You don't need to know the minute, the date, and the minute that it changes. It's just the broader view, so you can see how these nodes, they are guiding humanity. They are our trajectory. These nodes in our body graph, the U that is upside down next to the U that is right side up, looks like a horseshoe. Right down below the moon, depending on the body graph you're looking at, it's right below the sun, earth, the two nodes. And the nodes determine our trajectory as a species and individually. When I say our trajectory, our path through life, it is literally genetically hooking us into a line of geometry that we're helpless but to sort of travel down. You know, it's not a specific, it's not fortune telling. I can't tell you from day to day exactly where you're going to be in this line of trajectory. What we can do is look back over the thing and realize, oh my God, we all followed our trajectory. You know, my trajectory says you will be focused and concentrated on the things that you're going to universalize to the world with the power you have to sacredly generate a response. And God, that's been my trajectory my whole life, you know, and enthusiastically. My notes say I will enthusiastically dig through the details to then bust out with the charismatic power to universalize something in the now, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that's, I've been doing that my whole life. So this thing, the nodes the nodes go through they're the nodes of the moon. So everywhere from 3 to 5 months, we change nodes, so they hang around for a while. And if you pull up the pictures I sent you, we can see what they are. So yeah, it's a little bit confusing what you're looking at. Just look on the slide on the left for most part. Nodal movement from gate number 35 all the way through to gate number 17. Now, we can't cover all these gates in this show. It takes several shows to go through it. But just recognize.
We went through the wheel one video, I believe.
Yeah, a couple times we did the nodes.
Yeah, I think
aspects of them. And now I want to zoom out so people could see a larger view of what this movement looks like in humanity. So I wrote down some dates. So when you have a nodal shift, what happens is the reason you're looking at a split slide is because on the left, you'll see gate number 35, for instance. Yep, down to bottom. So this gate of progress, of expectation, it's in the throat center. It's about manifesting the experience into form, having the experience, feeling full from it, satiating the hunger to have the experience. And then if you look directly up from that, there's a gate number 5. That gate number on the second slide, that gate number 5 is exactly opposite gate 35 in the wheel. That's why there's a north and a south node. They were the 35 and the 5 when we went through them. And so that 35-5 is part of the cross of consciousness. It's the 5 is generated in the sacral. The throat is expressed and manifest in what we want to, come into form, and the feelings we want to emotionally have over all of that. And it becomes something that humanity went through. So gate 35 and 5 were mid-October 2020, the height of the COVID stupid just before the election. And what was happening? We were in a fixed pattern emotional wave up through that whole election cycle. All of humanity was waiting to see what progress would take place. We were in a field of consciousness that the other arms of that field of consciousness is all about the doubt and the confusion that then gets solved in the progress of a new knowing that comes manifest. We were manifesting our new knowing, and we were in high gear. By the time it was October of 2020, we were in high gear trying to make manifest our way versus what we felt was this draconian way trying to crush down on us and censor us. The censorship platforms were in full swing by then. We were now afraid to speak freely. Remember that couldn't speak freely.
No, and they started like banning you and flagging you for all sorts of crazy. I mean, we still have a mark on our channel because we
Robert Malone.
Yep.
Yeah. So whatever. And so from then through to late April, this was all in play. We were all having a very deep emotional feeling about our expectations not met, our fear of the expectations that wouldn't get met, our concern over how we would materialize what we hungered for. We hungered to be heard, to stop the censorship, to allow the dissent, to allow voices to speak freely. That's all. To allow voices to speak freely, and gate 5 is part of this. So we had incredibly generated fixed patterns over that. From that whole time, before the election till after the election, we were freaks, fixed patterns, stuck in the mud. I'm not doing that. I'm not taking that. You can't make me do that. Remember all the things we wouldn't do, right? One of them being, certain intervention, experimental intervention, that a third of us wouldn't do. I think at the end of the day, almost 40% of us did not succumb to the propaganda. That's because in our fixed patterns, we would not allow that to become made manifest.
No.
These were the nodes. Those were our nodes waking up. And then by the time I'm going to move along here, and then by the time late April comes along, no specific date. I'm just going mid, early, or late month. We moved. So the nodes moved clockwise. So 35 moved to 16. Now remember, these nodes are casting their conditioning, their formatting on the planet. All the children being born from late April to early September. This was in the sky for a long time. So all the children being born during this almost 6 months of time was, had these as their nodes. These nodes are in their body graph. A whole generation of children, 6 months worth of kids. That's a lot of babies. Were born, no matter where on the planet you are, have these nodes in their body graph. So that generation that was born during that time is going to have these ways. And we on Earth that are already here, we experience them because that conditioning through the neutrino field pours through the nodes of the moon, connects us to the outer galaxies and the outer universe. Literally, that's our connection to the outer precession of the equinox and all the other grand things that are taking place. These nodes are our window into that. That's why they are our trajectory. They literally move us in a path. So we moved from 35, which had lots of emotional nervousness, lots of emotion and manifested emotional nervousness, right? That's right in the throat. So, the world is, if you put the whole world together, at all times, we're an emotional manifesting generator, right? Whenever you get a group, as soon as you do that, you're in a group. You'll have a sacral, you'll have a solar plex, you'll have a direct connection to the throat. We're a fully nine-centered, defined emotional manifesting generator. As soon as you get a few people together, or in group.
Interesting.
Yeah, as soon as you're in a group of
because everybody would have something.
Would have their things, and so you could even have 4 projectors, and chances are they make an emotional manifesting generator. As soon as you get into a crowd, the stadium is an emotional manifesting generator place. Everything in there is generated. And the excitement is generated, all of it. It's all obviously because everything's going to be filled in inside of a stadium over and over again. So we leave this emotional realm and we move to 16 and 9. So 35 moves to 16 in late April of 2021. Now here we are, surrendering to the fact that we have a new president, that we don't believe for a second that certain results were actually accurate. We're questioning it, lots of questioning. So what is 16? What is 16 opposite on the right-hand slide? It's opposite gate number 9. 16 is opposite 9. So that means 9 and 16 are the nodes from late April to early September. That's a long time. 16 says, again, this is a throat gate, another throat gate. So for these nodes, for next 4 of them, we're all still in the throat, all manifested stuff, one way or another. 16 is about enthusiasm, the expression that comes out enthusiastically and wants to share its enthusiasm. It's part of the cross of planning. These are my nodes. My nodes on my design side are 9 and 16 in a second line. And so they resonate with the natural. That's my second line personality. And so gate 9 says, I'm focused on the details. I am focused on taming whatever this massive mess of junk is, and I'm going to tame it. I'm going to have the taming power of the smalls to tame the details. And as that's happening, gate 16 gets more and more enthusiastic and wants to share what the taming was that just took place. That's a way. Hey, what's this person's trajectory? I don't know, but they're always mired into those taming the details, taking on the project and trying to get enthusiastic about something. That's a trajectory they're going to take. They're not going to try not to go into situations in life that don't allow that, or they'll start to feel stifled. So that causes them to take a direction. So you can see how I've taken a direction through the mortgage business, through music, through the mortgage business, through being a parent, through, into human design, now into state nationals. You can see this. I'm constantly taking large groups of stuff and taming it, even if it takes 2 years, right? It's like, because enthusiasm keeps us there. This is part of the cross of planning, this emotional need to plan for our communities and our tribes. So what was happening? We're all circling the wagons enthusiastically. This is BS. I don't accept that. Circle our wagons. Come together, everybody. We got to come up with, where's our tribe? Where's our people? When you go back and listen to the chatter that was from late April to early September, started up this incredible chatter. We have to find our people. oh, thank God you're my people. It was in these months that everyone was starting to find other people that were like them, not caught up in the matrix, not caught up in the conditioning field of sameness, where all the media outlets would say the same thing at the same time, homogenizing our parents, our loved ones, our brothers and sisters into the soup where they would just fall in line and do as they're told. You know, we enthusiastically butted up against that. Not on my watch. We wanted to find our people. And we wanted to tame these details, and we wanted to you know, so much enormous amount. That was when, I mean, by then the Malones and the McCulloughs and the everyone, even RFK, he was out and about. Russell Brand had totally taken off by now. Chris Martenson from Peak Prosperity, who I watch religiously, you know, he was now full in the details, becoming pissed because here we are. Everyone now has this. The whole world has this. So if 30 to 40% of the Americans didn't fall in line and step into the phase 3 clinical trial experiment of the novel stuff that they tried to put in us, we're here trying to find out what's what exactly is what. We're coming up with ways to display that to people. We're talking about it and we're sharing. These two gates are collective, logical collective gates. That means and one of them's a format gate. So it's a guarantee that it will format everything to be enthusiastically taming these details into something we can finally express and share enthusiastically. So take that description I just gave and look back at late April to early September and listen to all the chatter out there, and you'll see this was a significant part of all the chatter. And so what does that do next? It sets up the next thing. And we'll stop here. Let's say to be continued so people can see what's coming up. Sound good to you, Jen?
Yeah.
Because this is a fun part. This is my channel. In fact, oh my God, we're moving through my 2 nodes. I have 16 and 9 on the design side. And then in early September, we moved into, this was the one I asked everyone to go out and watch.
I did. That's the one where it was the talking, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which way was it?
Busy.
8?
We're 20. We're moving from 16.
It was 20.
See, so 16 moves into gate 20. And what's opposite 20? 34. This is the channel of charisma. This is the archetype of the manifesting generator, 3420. You know, every time you see that, you know, you got this busy creature that's like, you know, fast, and they speak fast and they want to be fast, and they're just, it's almost obnoxious. It can be. This is the bull in the china shop when they're young, you know.
And older.
Yeah, well, a little more sophisticated, Jennifer, but not a lot, apparently. Jennifer was talking to me in that moment. Thank you, Jennifer. I love you.
I love you too.
Yep. So 20 says, I am I am now, the gate of contemplation. And it's in the throat. Notice we're going through throat gates. So all this stuff is manifesting itself into the world. And 20 is just this power of now. And it's the now that can only be received in the now. If you try and think about it, the now is gone. So this particular archetype of a manifesting generator has gate 34 on the other end. And these are my personality nodes in a 5th line. And in the 5th line, it's all about annihilation. Annihilate the old to bring in the new, but keep aspects of the old while you're doing that. Don't just throw it all away. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, that's totally me.
Yeah, but do right.
That's fine.
But do annihilate that stuff. 34's got this powerful, it's just in the body graph, it's the power of the great. And it's simply the main generating channel that fires up survival for humanity. Before the rest of our body graph was complete, we had 3420, 5710, this integration channels. And it just allowed great bullying, brute force power to constantly be in the now. And when you add the spleen to that and the love of self and the identity to that, we were able to start to awaken a couple 100,000 years ago, even as cavemen, because this was here. And so that brute force was sniffing and smelling and touching and applying its force and literally living hard and burning out. But in our current trajectory, this is basically the channel of charisma, the power of once aware taking action. It's a design of where the moment you're aware, the deed that would follow that awareness takes place in the now. I always put it as someone says something and the person with this channel is saying something back before they're even finished. They're finishing other people's sentences for them. They're not even listening. It's a fully self-absorbed channel. This channel is all me, my power now, and it's very excitable. It wants to try as a child, this would be one shiny new thing to the next, like most children, but here it would be, really well pronounced, hard to handle this kid, that's for sure. And potentially, most likely. So 34 says the power of the great must be brought into the now. So what does that do? So from early September, this is another good long one, to mid-January 2022. So I remember in January, I was saying, hey, let's get out and watch these nodes as they leave. And suddenly you'll watch everyone shut up for a moment. This busy, right in the speaking in the now, where now has to be spoken because it's in the throat. Let me give you my now. And it wants to empower everyone with their now. Let me empower you with my now. You said something, I'm saying something back. You do something, I'm doing something back. What did that bring in the world? It brought the power of right now to say, oh, hell no, to what's going on. And suddenly this drumbeat of, oh, hell no, started to beat because it's right now. Pulling off of the experience of having gone through an election cycle that we didn't like, the experience of the enthusiasm that was taming all the details brought into, oh, hell no, or oh, hell yes, depending on what side of this you're on. Think of that power. It's charismatic. The charisma is power in the now, generated, that can't stop. And if it's generated, it means it's responsive. So think of how responsive, you get a concussion and what is the first thing the doctor does? Puts a flashlight in your eye to see if your pupils dilate, right?
Yeah.
Your pupil's supposed to dilate right now. Put a light in it, it gets small. Take it away and it starts to get bigger. This is that, watching us basically doing that because it happens right in the now. And so we started having all the awareness from all the details we tamed, the awareness from everything we were doing that was gate 35 when we were manifesting our feelings and the nervousness. The nervousness led to the discovery of planning, and planning led to the, hey, in action right now with a certain amount of bully force to it. We can look at bully as bad, but you can look at bully as good.
No.
Bully is, well, we need to bully things.
You change the word because the energy behind the word bully is not.
Pick a new word for me, and I'll see them as the same thing, but I don't mind changing the word. But pick another word. It's a power now. It's just power.
Yes, but bully, you that's to either force somebody to do it, coerce somebody to do it, not give up somebody, just be persistent. There's a different way to express it in a more high vibrational
there'll be
manner.
synonyms for this, and you're right, Jennifer. There's probably more high vibe things, but I look at it in this class.
I just don't want to add confusion. This is where it's that gray area is a dangerous place to be right now. You said that's why I said earlier in the state national thing, we cannot blame the other side. It is us, and that is because everybody wants to walk in the gray area. It's black or white, and the term bully, that's something that happens way too often to a lot of people throughout our whole lifetime, and it needs to stop. So that doesn't even need to be in a gray area or anything like that.
What about in this sense? The lug nuts are really tight, and I have to bully that lug nut off with all my force in the now. The wheel, we put our shoulder to the wheel, and we bully that stone up the ramp to build the temple. That's how I'm using this term.
I would totally use a different word for what you're even describing doing.
Okay, fair enough.
You're being persistent. You have the drive to push.
Well, I need a word that shows brute force, because that 34 is not aware. 34 is in the sacral, but it's totally asexual, even though the sacral is literally the sexual apparatus of humanity. 34 is the one gate that's asexual, essentially, because its only job is to apply brute force to its sacral response. Because think about it, 100,000 years ago, we had a smell come to us, an odor. our spleen was immediately aware. We had to show brute force so that we wouldn't get eaten.
I
Or-
would say brute force. That's different than bully.
Okay. So that's
I mean,
well, that's perfect. So this 34.
is Black Laws Dictionary
Oh, you got that?
definition
Yeah,
of
pull up
bully.
force or bully. So I'll keep talking. So 34 generates a response because it comes out of the sacral. And 20 catches that response and brings it into the now, makes it manifest in the now. So our brute force, as those of us who did not succumb to the propaganda, one way or another, we lived out this whole way. All of humanity that was in that boat lived out from early September all the way through to from early September 21 through to January of 22, or early January of 22. We lived out this just forceful now. And that's why I put it in the terms, oh, hell no, not my body. I mean, that came through, truly just came out until we were brave enough to even say it out loud. It was during this time that I was getting uninvited to the 2021 season of Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that stuff, and birthdays and all that stuff. For me and my family,
The definition of bully is defined as an intentional act to cause harm to others and may involve verbal harassment, verbal or nonverbal threats, physical assault, stalking, or other methods of coercion, such as manipulation, blackmail, or extortion. It is an aggressive behavior that intends to hurt, threaten, or frighten another person. An imbalance of power between the aggressor and the victim is often involved. Brute force would be a better word, not bullying things to get.
Can I make a point about what you just did, Jen? And I love this about us, by the way.
Mhm.
You read from Black's Law. That is
No, I didn't find a Black Laws
oh, I thought you found that
definition.
Black's Law.
No, that's
Good.
just the definition of being a bully.
Well, I like the term, but I'm going to change it because it is brute force. It's applying our brute force to the right now, and the right now is here to keep us safe. Don't forget, it's connected in integration to keep gate 57, keeping us aware of what keeps us safe. It's our most intuitive gate. It's the gate of the gentle that then is penetrating awareness into the future. You have that gate 57. You know this. It helps you channel. And that's empowered by this brute force that generates a response out of gate 34. You don't need to have gate 34. It's in the world. And it's part of this whole integration circuit that goes from 34 to 57 to 10 to 20. And this is where we started as a human species before the rest of our body graph was filled out. And it did allow us to basically manhandle our surroundings as needed as a direct response to the environment around us so that we could survive. And we were acting out that survival nature during this this time that was in from late this, what was it, from early September to mid-January. From early September to mid-January, we were acting out that energy that stood up for ourselves. That's that forcefulness stood up for our own survival. Those of us who did not succumb to the propaganda, what did we do? We stood up with a great deal of force to say, oh, hell no. The chatter, and notice these are all throat gates. So this whole season of COVID was a giant chatterbox. All of this, look at, I took us from basically the beginning of COVID. The gate right before number 35, I just didn't choose to do it, is 45. Also in the throat. Another gate that you have, Jen, in your body graph. And so all of COVID had a nodal direction of just voice, the throat, manifesting through and articulating and speaking. And by the time we get to the nodes here, the last third of 2021 going into 2022, we are, everyone in the movement that's saying, oh, hell no, is steadfastly saying, hell no. We've already started to find our tribe. We're so excited when we actually get to our tribe and find it. You know what I mean? That mattered a great deal. And we did that with a great deal of basically awareness becoming deed as a manifesting generated response to that which allowed us to survive the moment, each moment, moment to moment. We were still scared though. There was still fear. We were loaded with all kinds of fear. What if they do this? What if they make internment camps? What if they put us in a place? What if FEMA comes along and says we need to segregate you like they did in Australia and several other places? China is the God, dude. Those aren't the only places. Plenty of places did it.
Oh yeah,
make the news, and they were talking about that and all of the, and so that means the 60% that all got the experimental, fluids. Really, probably about 20% of those people that were hardcore about it, they were experiencing the same thing, except on their not self side, and they were the ones right in the now talking and trying to be the ones that would potentially intern us.
Well, when you were talking about the bullying, yeah, look at the other side. What they did to us in the jab, that's bullying, Dan.
Good point, Jen. Good point. So there it is. There's the not self of that pouring out.
But the opposite side of it, there is no.
I get it, Jen. Let's move off that point, because you're right. You're right. Let's move off that point and just
but yes, the other side, exactly what they did in every which way, that even the locking people up, that was straight, that you could say that would be great definition of them bullying.
Straight up bully action.
And persistent about it.
Yeah, right. And right now, and you know what, they're still carrying that conditioning with them, because you can't even talk to them about a thing. They still have that knee jerk in the now, right in the now, and their awareness is limited to, you're challenging my old belief, and my mental dissonance won't allow me to hear it. So you still bring up certain stuff. That's still that's an outlay of this node, these nodes in the sky. That's partly been conditioned by that. Wasn't that long ago, in other words. So it's still in that cellular memory of all the beings on the other side that were all freaks to us, canceling us, not allowing discussion. There was no sciences settled. You can't have settled sciences. Half the people can't speak, and there's no consensus. If you censor all the non-consenting voices that are like, hey, you got this problem, that problem, and there can be no true scientific awareness if you don't have full-on debate. So all those things were being bullied out of the sphere and censored and taken away by big fat bullies that were on top of even them, directing the whole thing. We did many of their designs when we talked about the World Economic Forum and these various things, and you could see how they were doing that thing. They were living this out too. They were all excited in there now. We get to be the supreme bully. That's what they were living out. They were probably all freaking had hard-ons over all of that. They love that stuff.
They've been waiting for it.
They've been waiting for it. Little did they know, if they understood human design, they should know the majority won't go along with it sooner or later.
Well, I mean, what happened was not something that, overnight. They'd been planning that for quite some time, and people who have been following the movement for quite some time, like since, let's just say, Trump initially announced that he was running for president, way back when all that, because that's when it initially started. It was through the whole impeachment process, and then COVID hit. I mean, they had been planning it for quite some time. And if you go back and you look through history, they've been strategically moving the pieces on the chessboard to get in alignment so that it could be a split, because it was definitely a split. The people that were going to go along with what they were pushing and the ones that were fighting against it.
Absolutely.
And it's still that there's still that divide.
So you can feel all that energy from September into January of 2022. We were just going into it, and it was just a hot mess. Everything was moving so fast. That's another thing you can count on with 2034. It's a definition. So it's guaranteed to be lived out, because it's a definition. It's a whole channel rather than just a gate of a channel. And so everything sped up so fast at that point, because that's what this gate does. And then as soon as January came along, we moved again to gate number 8. Still in the throat, powerfully individual, we left the cross of the sleeping phoenix and moved into the cross of contagion. You know, the two arms of the cross of contagion, and gate 8 wants to make a contribution. So suddenly by the middle of January, we're all trying to contribute what we're doing. And that was when I started to be contributed upon about what it is to be an American State National. I started to hear the first drippings of that. That was when my scientific stuff started coming more into focus about what I could and couldn't recite. And suddenly we're all making a contribution. And we can sort of stop there and pick up with gate number 8 and go all the way through the rest of them the next time that we're on, and just do more, because we're into an hour easily.
About 50 minutes.
Okay, yeah, this is a good enough spot to stop.
Perfect.
I'll just point out, we'll go through gate 8 and then 20. I'll give you the dates, so in case anyone wants to do that. So gate 8 contribution, it's opposite gate 14. It's mid-January to late March, so this one wasn't very long. Then we move to gate 23, part of the cross of explanation. It again makes a definition, 2343. Everyone's explaining stuff. I would have asked us to look at those nodes. Late March to early July. And then gate 2, direction, from early July to late November. 27 was late November to early February. And then 3 was June to August. So you can see how these move along. And then we're going to move into 42. We're in number 3 right now. It's a very mutative time. This is all about mutation. And
feel it.
Yes, and as this moves through us, it's going to be here for actually it's going to be here for from late June, which it just started, by the way, just started a few days ago. It's going to be here through till August. It'll be a very mutative time. Many things will suddenly pulse themselves in a mutative pulse into the new, into the world. We will see that as we move into 42, which demands that we start to have the real progress of completion and complete the things we started. So these next 6 months are about something mutative coming into a form that can be completed. And that gate 42 that we're moving into is also generated. These 3 gates right in a row, 27, 3, and 42, they're all generated gates. So boy, we have some generated business coming up. Leading into 51, the shock and awe of it all. Leading into 21, that which gets controlled. Leading into 17, the logic of it all. But ultimately leading into 25, which is out of the picture, the universal love of all things. I think it's in that moment we will see the real completion of what started at this beginning of this discussion.
That's a good point. That would be really nice to see. It's been a bullshit ride over the past couple of years.
Right. Well, that's going to take us all the way into 2025-ish, just in time.
Yeah.
So these nodes move slow, and it's just a hell of a story to tell the story of the movement of the nodes. The more people we would have on this panel, Jen, like if we had a screen full of 20 of us, boy, would we get stories, right? And people would be talking about their experiences, and it'd just be really cool. So that's it.
Awesome. Do you have anything that you would like to say before we wrap up?
Book your session.
Book your session. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow the show, guys.
Yeah.
And
find out who you are, really.
Yes. And be on the lookout for the job posting. And yes, highly recommend, like Dan said, I was going to make that mandatory. It was going to be get your session first, book a call with Dan so that he can break down your chart. So human design will be involved in that, and be on the lookout for that. And yeah, we will see you next time.
Human design person with the rest of us. It'll be great.
Yep. Yeah, and if you are into human design and you know some already, that would be a great skill. I was going to include that too, we'll talk about it.
Sounds good to me. So I guess goodbye, everyone. Thanks so much. This was wonderful. Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. Y'all have a wonderful day, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.